What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Brian Costa.
And I'm John Warren.
And welcome into episode 81 of the podcast. We're so glad to have you guys joining us today. Obviously, this is coming out a little later than typically we planned for. As you heard, John Warren, my good friend, is back on the podcast. John, glad to have you.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Always glad to have you on, man. This thing was kind of bouncing around between who I was going to try to get on for this, but I'm glad to have you on. Glad to have you as a part of this. And, I'm really glad to get into the latest that's been going on in the sports world.
Yeah, me too. We can jump right into it.
Yeah, I say we do that. And, with that being said, the first thing I want to get into is in the NFL. I want to start off there because, I haven't been able to cover it as much, since my last show. And, starting off in NFL news, we got to finally see, as Patriots fans, we finally got to see the debut of Mack Jones behind center for New England. It was a great time to see. What did you think about it?
I thought he did pretty great. Again, it's just preseason. Stidham looked really good in preseason. Like other quarterbacks still looked good.
Yeah.
I thought it was really impressive though. Yeah, I really liked his performance, and it looked very like he's fit the system, I guess, with the short dump off passes. But I think the best pass he had was the incompletion in the end zone. That was a beautiful pass, and he dropped it right there.
Yeah.
The receiver, as you saw, dropped it.
No, that was a great pass. I think it was to Wilkerson, if I believe so.
He dropped it. It was right over the shoulder, right in his hands, and
he
just dropped it.
It was literally right in his hands, and it just fell out. I mean, it was an unfortunate thing to see, but it was a great pass by Mack Jones. He looked amazing out there. And, frankly, I'm just glad to see football again. I know it's preseason football, but, just getting back into the NFL and the regular season, everything with that, it's just good to see it. I don't like seeing summer come to an end. And fall comes around and you think about school, it's like, ugh, like everything's coming back like that. But the one saving grace for me has always been like, oh, the NFL's back on. Things are starting to heat up again. Unfortunately, while I love baseball, during the summer, it kind of is the only thing that's on. So the fall is also the mark of like hockey coming back and the NBA coming back. And just seeing, the NFL preseason is a sign of what's to come. And I'm really glad to see it.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to have football back, especially, main season. Like a main season of sports, I feel like is when you really start. It's like almost the beginning of like sports. I feel like.
Yeah.
Like it's always football, even though like at least for some it's wrapping up to the end of the year. I feel like really that's just the main part because school's going back for people, everyone's getting back into work, the livelihood, and football really is just like kind of there with it all. So I feel like that's kind of the big highlight, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's always been kind of a big highlight. I mean, you think of football, you think of the tailgate and everything that goes on there. It's always a lively scene, and I love to see it.
It's always a good atmosphere too.
Absolutely. I mean, kind of going back on it. I mean, I've gone to I've been to many Patriots preseason games, been to many tailgates, seeing some of the things going on there, going to Bryant football games and seeing the action down there. It's a ton of fun with those guys down at Smithfield. Can't wait to get back and hopefully see a game in person again. Hopefully, get to see guys like Ronell Joseph back on the field and get to see those guys. Darnell Shillingford, shout out to him as well. A fellow friend of mine down at Bryant, and it'll just be great to see they get back on when we go down there. A final thing I want to cover in the Mack Jones preseason debut before we get into the other storyline out of the Patriots preseason game was, when he went into that game, did you see the crowd reaction to when he went in that game?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so I think you were kind of down at school at the time doing, kind of doing stuff down there. When he went in the game, he ended up replacing Cam Newton. Cam Newton, obviously, was last year's starter, came into the game, fairly routine, looked like himself. But when Mack Jones came in, you would have thought Brady like came back and the stadium literally erupted. There was a standing ovation for this guy. And I'm like, part of me is like, okay, cool your Jets. Like this guy is like, he's a rookie and, he's going to make mistakes and you're going to be frustrated with him at times. But another part of me was just able to see like, okay, these guys, and these fans, they're ready for the next phase. They're ready for, the next chapter in New England Patriots football.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Mack is he's definitely good, Alabama boy there.
But, oh yeah.
No, I mean, I'm excited to see what he can do. still hopeful for Cam.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam's still, the bread and butter, but I mean, Matt going in there, he's definitely making it a competition. So
Yeah. With, I think that makes a good transition because with Cam Newton at this point, I don't know.
we know what Cam has to offer.
Unfortunately, that is the case. My big thing I've been saying it on this show for a while was, when I interviewed pitcher Sean Burke on the show recently. We were actually talking before the show that he underwent Tommy John surgery in high school. And as you know, with Tommy John surgery, it's the type of thing where, not usually that first year you're not back to 100%, but it's that second year where you really bounce back and you get back to your old self. When Cam Newton went down, I believe it was in either 2018 or 2019. He went down, got a pretty significant shoulder surgery. Obviously, he was never the a crazy thrower of the football, anyways. But he got the significant shoulder surgery, and when he did that, I was like, I think the first year he was back with the Patriots was kind of his first full year back since that, and I was like, all right, he had this surgery. We saw how he threw the football, and it didn't look that great. So when he was coming into this year, I was like, all right, I'll give him a little bit of time. Maybe you'll see it come back, and maybe you can see a more accurate looking passer, and it will look a little more professional. I know it was a small sample size, but from what I saw, him getting, blown up by Chase Young, and I know that's a little bit on Isaiah Wynn as well for missing his blocking assignment, but it looks like the same Cam Newton that we saw last year. And unfortunately, that's not going to be good enough to win us games in the NFL.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, he definitely has to step it up a little bit, to say the least. But I didn't think all of it was bad. I mean, he did look like he knew the offense and he was reading it a little bit better. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, you know what he has to offer already. If nothing changes.
Yeah.
But there's only upside for Cam Newton.
Yeah.
There's really no downside. But you always have Mack in your back pocket. I think it's good that he's kind of developing under Cam Newton, because regardless of it, Cam's a great leader.
No,
So
I will give that to Cam. He is a
he's
great leader.
seasoned vet in the NFL. He's on what, like year 10 now?
I feel like it's got to be like year 11 or 12, maybe at this point. It might be 10 actually. I think he was drafted in 2011, so I think it is his 10th season actually. I think you may be correct with that. But I remember, I will give him the fact that he's a great leader. Something that kind of called that into question with me though was, after the game, I don't really pay too much attention to the social media thing. I know that you kind of don't as much. You were kind of telling me about that. But one of the things I was seeing was, I was kind of hearing about this over kind of like articles and different sports talking heads like referring to this, and apparently Cam Newton, like kind of the day after the game, put out an Instagram post, and in the Instagram post, I'll actually pull it up now. He went on Instagram and he ended up posting like literally the day after the game, and he said, "I'm far from perfect, but loyalty, I deserve it." And it's a weird kind of quote. Obviously, it has this weird Cam Newton kind of text and font to it. It has that kind of whole weird thing. But after kind of seeing the ovation for Mack Jones and kind of seeing like the great treatment he got, do you think this is kind of a shot that he's throwing, or is this just kind of Cam doing his own thing?
I wouldn't feel like it would be a shot at all.
Maybe not at Mac, but yeah.
Maybe at the fans, if anything, of being like, hey, like I'm back too, like show me a little bit of respect. But at the same time, it's a little tricky because Cam did say in a press conference that, his Instagram, he's like, it really has nothing to do with like football. It's more social justice, like it's more like focused towards like his life and everything else. Cause he's a big believer in there's life after football and all that. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like him and Mac at least are, I don't feel like it would be targeted at Mac Jones at all, because as he says, like, it's like mac and cheese. Like he really does like Mac. And I mean, it's kind of similar, I guess, to an Aaron Rodgers type situation. Like you can't be mad at him. If anything, it would be a little shot at the organization. But
yeah, I mean, if anything, I think it's more of a shot at the organization possibly. And I mean, you could maybe say it's a shot at other teammates. Like maybe after the game, like people were going up to Mac and we're like, hey man, great job. That pass was awesome. Looked great out there today. It's a great first step. And maybe Cam didn't get that kind of same love, and he's kind of standing on the sidelines just being like, why aren't I getting that treatment? I come out here, I work my butt off and I do all this stuff every day. Why aren't I getting that same treatment? Do you think that possibly could be working itself in?
Yeah, maybe, but at the same time, I really wouldn't take Cam Newton as petty. So
yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you there. I mean, it's definitely tough to see. I think that Cam Newton, obviously, I think that he has great leadership qualities and can really rally a team behind him. I mean, there were talks at times that guys like Julio Jones wanted to come to the Patriots to play with a guy like Cam Newton. I was like, part of me was like, really? You want to come and play with Cam here? And I was kind of like,
yeah, people love Cam Newton. It's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird, especially kind of seeing what he brings to the table now. Now, obviously, with new weapons, and if he is the starter, we'll see how that kind of we'll see how that really works itself out throughout the regular season weeks. But if Cam isn't the guy and Mac does go in, I'll be excited to see that as well.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. And then Justin Fields had his debut too.
Yeah, he had his debut too, had a touchdown in it.
Touchdown was wide open.
Yeah, it was wide open. I'll give you that.
But I mean, he struggled in the first half, and then he kind of put together a nice drive to finish it off. But I think the most impressive one was the Sam Ellinger debut. That was pretty crazy, actually. He completely drove down the field and scored a touchdown. So
yeah, no, I mean that whole situation with the QB in Indy right now is going to be crazy. Is Carson Wentz going to be available, or are they going to have to throw this? What is Ellinger, a 6th or 7th round pick?
7th round. They would throw the guy in front of him, which I don't know. But then there's also the backup quarterback to the Ravens looking exactly like Lamar Jackson and just completely put 44 points or something on the Saints, which was ridiculous too. So the Ravens look really good.
Yeah.
I mean, especially coming into this season, I would say they could be an early, team to watch, like a dark horse.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because they're looking really good.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I could definitely, you could throw at terms like dark horse, but I mean, when you have Lamar Jackson, he creates the ultimate X factor, and he really can, turn things on. The only question I have is, unfortunately, Lamar is more run heavy than a guy like Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes, while he can scramble and do his own thing, he does have the ability to, be a traditional passer and do that whole thing. What I do wonder about is, kind of how that is, will he kind of wear down, and will the injuries catch up to him? That's my main concern with Lamar.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had any really big injuries to date, but
yeah,
I mean, I would say that he would be good.
Yeah,
I don't think it would be, because it looks like he keeps himself, in pretty good shape and all that. But
I agree.
I mean, if injuries happen, injuries happen. So.
Exactly. I think that I still think he has some pretty good treads on his tires. I think that he still is young enough to be able to do some things there. So I am pretty hopeful for him. But also in NFL news, one of the things I wanted to cover was this happened a little bit, last week, and I think you were here when me, you, and Pat Edwards were talking about this. But obviously Aaron Rodgers, it's being pinned now that that this season in Green Bay is going to be his last dance up in Wisconsin. Whatever happens after the season, we have no idea, but that's at least what it looks like. It looks like it's going to be the last dance for him, and possibly also Devontae Adams. And to appease Aaron Rodgers in this situation, because the Packers realized, hey, if we don't appease him, Jordan Love is going to be our quarterback. And maybe that's not the worst thing, because he also made his debut, and
he had a great preseason. Yeah,
exactly. So maybe they're a little more optimistic now, but they were saying, all right, we need Aaron Rodgers on this field. So they went out and they got Randall Cobb back, which is kind of funny to see him now back in Green Bay. Yeah. But one of the things that I thought was really funny was Aaron Rodgers kind of went on a tirade, earlier on in training camp, talking about, how certain guys, he didn't want them to be traded, like Jordy Nelson, and other names kind of out there. But recently he took to Instagram, and I think Devontae Adams did as well, and David Bakhtiari did, and they went out there and they ended up they posted a picture of Clay Matthews in I think it was in a Green Bay jersey or in a Rams jersey, whatever it was. I think it was, a fairly recent photo of Clay Matthews, and they ended up saying, bring him back. And I think they tagged the Packers, or they did something similar to that. And they said, bring back Clay Matthews.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about Clay Matthews is, at the time it was just shy of it, but now it's well over 600 days since he's taken a snap in the NFL. Now, do you think that, we were talking with our, token Green Bay Packers fan, Pat Edwards, and he was saying this is a complete troll. There's no way they're actually doing this. And there's no way that the Packers would ever bring a guy like Clay Matthews back, especially after all the time he's been out of the NFL.
Yeah.
But do you think there's any chance that the Packers would ever bring him back at this point?
No, I don't think there's any chance.
Yeah.
Because I feel like just a shot in the dark at that, because you're giving too much power to him. It would be almost like, LeBron, GM LeBron, just calling out players, bringing everyone he wants on the squad, which always seems like happens. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's any shot that's going to happen.
I don't think there is either. I mean, I'm kind of weary of it, but I do agree with you there. I think that the chances of that happening are pretty low. Now, could Aaron, threaten to sit out the season, then they're forced to bring in Clay Matthews? It's possible, but I feel like a guy like him at this point, Clay Matthews during his season with the LA Rams, his lone season with them, obviously caused a lot of drama out there because he was saying that they weren't paying his salary and there was a lot of disputes going on out there alone with that. But I don't think I don't think they're going to be bringing him back. But I thought that was interesting that after kind of the last dance thing that they put out with that Devontae put out and Rodgers put out saying that they're going to be Jordan and Pippen in this thing. And then when they got Randall Cobb back, he came in and he put up a picture and he was saying that he's going to be Ron Harper in the whole situation. He's gonna and that was going to be his role. If they had actually gotten the whole band back together, I would have given Aaron Rodgers a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, it definitely would have been cool to see, but completely unrealistic.
No, by no
way.
means. I mean, if he had gotten, I mean, it was kind of like when during Brady's last year when Belichick went out and got AB from the Raiders. It seemed completely out of the realm of possibility that, I know Belichick's done reclamation projects, but when he got AB after the drama he went through, I was like, something feels different about this.
Yeah.
And it felt like, there was a little bit more pressure from Brady at the time when that went down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so, just based off the fact that we got him for next to nothing.
That's true.
And he played 1 week and got us a touchdown, and he looked great with Brady. So, I mean, I don't think that's I think that was more of an experiment, if anything. I mean, we've known to do that in the past. It's like, we had Ocho Cinco.
Yeah.
We had Terrell Owens for a little bit, the end of his career.
I didn't think we had T.O. I thought I think T.O. was with the Bills. We
signed him to the practice squad for a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. I know we had Reggie Wayne. We tried out other guys like that. And unfortunately it just didn't work out. But it'll be interesting to see what goes down there. But that kind of concludes what we have in terms of that story. One of the final stories I have two more stories left in the NFL. One unfortunately is kind of sad, and the other one is just straight up weird. So I'll let you kind of pick the one that you want to cover.
Yeah. All right.
Do you want to cover the sad or the weird?
I can cover the weird.
All right, let's cover the weird one then. So the weird story of the day is Usain Bolt and Tyreek Hill are apparently going to race in a 40-yard dash.
Yeah, no, that is definitely weird.
Yeah, they're this is being alleged that, I guess Tyreek and Usain were kind of calling each other out saying, oh, I can beat you, and Tyreek Hill is calling Usain Bolt old, saying he can't do it anymore, and Usain Bolt is saying, listen, man, just because I can't compete against the top sprinters doesn't mean I can't beat you. And it's gotten to the point now where they're actually wagering, their personal prizes at this point. I guess Tyreek Hill put up his Super Bowl ring from Super Bowl 54 saying, hey, Usain, if you beat me, I'll give you this. And in return, Usain Bolt is giving up one of his gold medals, saying, okay, if you beat me, I'll give you one of my golds. Now, I think for Tyreek, he obviously is giving up more because he only has one Super Bowl ring. And it's like, dude, this is your only Super Bowl ring. Usain Bolt has multiple, and I mean multiple gold medals. Like, this guy is, a king at it. He's not giving up his whole collection. He's giving you one.
I wonder if you would give him one that's significant, like the first, or he's giving him like the one where he broke the record.
I mean, which time he broke the record so many times.
Exactly.
That's the thing. It's like, oh, give him the one where he broke the record. I'm like, yeah, but that happened like 7 times.
Yeah.
Which is the crazy thing. Like, the crazy thing about Usain Bolt, and unfortunately, I don't think that people now who, didn't get to witness him during his prime like we did, they're not going to recognize it. Like, Usain Bolt was so much faster than everybody. He would kind of let up at the end of races so that way he could go and break his record again the next time because he knew he could go break it. Like, the guy was a freak of nature. And if you had to pick a guy in a 40-yard dash right now, if you have to take Usain Bolt at his age now, I don't think he's like in his 40s. I think he's, mid 30s, possibly even early 30s. I think that's just the life of a sprinter. They kind of just wear out at that age just because of the demands. And you have this age Tyreek Hill, 40 yards, all or nothing. Who are you taking?
I'm taking Tyreek Hill.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm taking Tyreek actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so because I think Tyreek would have him in the short distance. It also depends. Are they running it on a track? Or are they running it on a field?
Well, I mean,
Because I say on a field, I say Tyreek, but I say it's still going to be close.
I say here's what I'm saying. I'm glad you took Tyreek. I'm gonna take Bolt on this one. I know Bolt is older, and I know he, obviously has, obviously more tread at this point, and he's, he has, more mileage on him at this point. But I'm gonna take Usain Bolt just based on the fact that he knows the form of starting up, and he knows how to, utilize those, every step of getting through it.
Yeah, but one Tyreek as well because he did run track,
He did
in
run track,
college,
and I know he did the combine. He
and
did
he did
everything
the
like
Olympic
that.
qualifiers and all that
Yeah,
too.
but Usain's the best at it. He's the best. And I
He
mean,
was the best. He's not running anymore.
he's still going to know how to get out of his blocks. And listen, where was Usain Bolt dominating people? He was dominating them in the 100.
Yeah,
He was
but
dominating
is
them.
Usain Bolt, still practicing every day, doing that every day?
I mean,
You think he's still dieting,
gotta be
doing all the Olympic stuff? Because if he's not in Olympic shape, I can guarantee you Tyreek Hill's doing everything to make sure his body is in NFL shape right now and keeping him at the fastest.
Oh no, I guarantee you, if they raced right now, Tyreek is in better shape. But I think they're planning to do this at a later date or sometime. And I don't think that Usain Bolt is going on the Chad Ochocinco train where he's literally eating McDonald's every day and completely, just has gone on that wave.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that, I don't know. I think that if you get Usain Bolt right, and he's not racing in a 4x2, he's not racing in these longer races, and his shortest race that he'd run was a 100 meter. That's 40 yards is significantly shorter than 100 meters.
Right.
He was getting burned in the latter half of that because your body can only accelerate. I forget what it is, but past a certain distance, and it's not very far. It's like I think like after like 50 or so meters, you can only go at a certain speed at 100% speed. After a certain speed, you're not even Usain Bolt is touching 100%. So if you get 100% of Usain Bolt's acceleration, in my opinion, I think he can beat Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's just hard. But also the biggest difference I think is the stride length because I think Tyreek's going faster.
Yeah.
But Usain Bolt, I mean, he was, and he probably, like his records still aren't beaten.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just saying with age, and if they were to run right now, I say Tyreek does it.
Yeah.
Because also, I think if Tyreek stuck with track, I think Tyreek would have gave him a run for his money, just based off where the Olympic qualifiers were. You saw that the side by side comparison of his track time versus the current Olympic runners, he was placing like second or third.
That's really awesome.
Which is crazy.
I mean, listen, if Tyreek stuck with track, this is a completely different argument. Like if Tyreek Hill was 100% a track star, and I for the sake of the USA, I kind of wish he was because I feel like it would help us win a lot more medals. But if Tyreek Hill was a track star, this completely changes the argument. I think that if you put Tyreek in that situation, it makes it in my opinion, I would swing it a little bit more towards Tyreek in my opinion. But at this point, Usain isn't like 45 or anything like that. And it's like, all right, like, sorry, man, the human body can only do so much at that age. I think he still might be able to do it, but that's just my opinion. But the last story I have in NFL news is Tim Tebow, was recently just cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pretty unfortunate, but he just got cut by the Jaguars. He had one preseason game. A lot of people were, hyped up about what Tebow was going to do coming into camp. He hadn't played in a regular season NFL game since 2012. Unfortunately, now still hasn't. And, we got to see him kind of live and in form as a tight end. And, he had some lowlights.
Yeah, it was kind of sad, but I mean, what did you expect out of Tim?
Yeah.
I mean, he gave it his all. And I mean, kudos to him. He made the team for a while, and he did the practice squad, and he got his opportunity in his shot, and he sold a lot of jerseys, so he kind of got what he wanted out of it. So
no, I mean, financially, it's a win for him. He gets everything he needed.
Gets media public, and he's still probably going to return right to college football. He's still probably going to return because he's a great analyst in the college football network.
He's amazing at it.
He's one of the faces of it, honestly. And then he's also a philanthropist, I believe, and he also, I think, he owns his own church.
I believe it.
All that. So, I mean, hey, like if anything, he still is completely set up for life, and at least gave it a shot. I mean, he
No,
could
yeah.
still honestly go back to baseball, I think.
I think he's done with baseball at this point. I mean, the guy's like what at this point, like maybe like 35. I think he's like one of the older tight ends in the league at this point if he was to play. And
I think if he was younger, you think he could have made it as a tight end?
I mean, if he dedicated himself to being a tight end and saying this is what I'm going to do, if he had maybe not even out of college, like gone in and done it, but during his time with the Jets, like they had kind of, they said they were going to experiment with him at tight end. If they had done it then, maybe he could be something. I don't think he'd ever be like this blocking force because we saw what he looked like blocking wise, and I know it's at a later age.
You think if he gets that reception, you think he stays on the team? That ball that Trevor Lawrence threw right at him, and then what's his name grabbed it right in front of him?
I don't know. I mean, the missed blocking assignments and everything like that, it looked pretty ugly. It would have been tough, and just with the roster cuts that go down, I feel like it was just going to happen.
Yeah, I agree too. But I mean, kudos to Tim. Tried it out. Urban Meyer gave him a chance.
I mean, I think Urban Meyer really just. I think Urban Meyer kind of needed to. I mean, Tim Tebow really kind of helped put Urban Meyer on the map in terms of coaching when he was at Florida. Really, amplified that program and completely turned around Urban Meyer's career.
Yeah.
So I think Urban kind of looked at that and said, "All right, you helped me out when I needed it. I'm going to try to help you out and give you a lifeline here." Fortunately, it didn't work out, but I wish the best of Tim Tebow. I think he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I think he'll be just fine. He just married, I think, this past year too. So
yeah. So again, he's going to be
more than okay.
Absolutely. But
how did you feel about Trevor Lawrence's debut? I was going to say Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson. They all the top picks had their debuts.
I thought it was good. I thought Trevor Lawrence looked solid. I think that he had that really nice pass to Marvin Jones where that thing was just a dot. I'll be excited to see what Trevor Lawrence looks like in the NFL. I think that, I don't know if he's, 100% going to be the college player he is. I don't know if, that style will translate, completely to the NFL. I hope it does.
Yeah.
But, obviously I think that some guys have to make, a form of adjustment when they get into the league.
Yeah, no, that's the best part I like about college more than football. More than
NFL.
The NFL. Is more just the type of plays, and like a lot more people can be successful in college, while in the NFL it's a very select few.
Yeah, it's a very selective kind of thing, and it kind of does take the creativity and the fun out of the game. But I will be excited to see how Trevor Lawrence does in the NFL. I think he's going to be successful in my opinion. But that concludes what we have in NFL news. In MLB news, we were talking about, we were talking about certain debuts, and, we talked about Mack Jones' debut and we talked about Trevor Lawrence's debut. Now in MLB news, I want to talk about comebacks. And, for the longest time, I think it was August 13th, 2019 was the last time we saw Chris Sale take the mound for the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
It had been a long time since we saw Chris Sale on a mound in Fenway. And finally, at long last, he had to get Tommy John surgery, at the beginning part of the 2020 season. COVID happened, everything went down there. And, finally he made it back, made multiple rehab starts in both Portland and with the Woo Sox and did everything there. We were kind of reviewing the situation and saw that, certain tickets with the Woo Sox were selling for like $200 for people to get into the ballpark. I'm like, this is insane. We're not doing that because tickets usually cost like $8. And I was like, I'm not paying that much to go see Chris Sale pitch, even though I really want to go see him pitch. But it was kind of like this, media spectacle. And it was this crazy thing to see him on his rehab tour. And, it kind of was a tour basically. And he finally got back to Fenway, and, we got to see him face the Baltimore Orioles. And, frankly, the Baltimore Orioles are kind of inflated AAA team at this point, with the way that they play. And we beat them handily. We beat them 16-2.
Right.
Chris Sale went 5, gave up 2 home runs. I believe there were back-to-back shots to Trey Mancini, and I believe it was Hayes. I can't.
Back-to-back shots.
Yeah, so had a rough patch there, but all in all, for the Red Sox to be getting their ace back, how are you feeling about them?
I'm pretty pumped. I mean, I feel like we should work them in slowly, which we are doing.
Yeah.
And I trust management right now. But I think, I mean, it was really good to see him out there and then see, his slider and everything else going crazy.
Yeah. The slider is back, folks. If you didn't catch his start, he is back to 100%, which I am glad. Well, not back to 100%, but the slider looks like it's back and has that bite to it that it did back then.
Exactly.
And that's all I'm
There's a
looking
bunch
to
of
see.
pitches too in his debut that really could have went the other way. Like he was hitting corners and the ump just really wasn't calling it that day. But
Mhm.
that inside high right corner, he was hitting like constantly.
No, it's dirty when he hits that. Like he has an amazing like way of pitching, and it's not something that you can teach. Like
No, just based off his body language.
it's crazy. And I hope that he doesn't need to have any. I hope that he doesn't have any issues with it, because he pitches in such an obscure kind of way when he goes across his body like that. I think that luckily Tommy John surgery at this point is such a kind of revolutionary thing where it's just kind
it's
of
it's so studied.
it's routine at this point. It's almost just like I don't even know how to describe it at this point. It's just it's become a basic procedure in MLB that most doctors are able to perfect at this point. And hopefully it works for him and he's able to pitch a couple more good years in the league and be a successful starter. I'm excited to see what he could do with the Red Sox down the stretch. But I got to tell you, I'm nervous about the Red Sox team because we have been slumping.
Yeah, it's been a hot garbage for a little bit.
It has been awful.
Dropping back to back, and then also just the errors on that play when we let it up against the Yankees. We're just looking we're looking very tired.
Yeah.
I don't know how many games we're out, but
well, we're currently as of this episode being recorded, we are down 4-1 to the Yankees in the top of the 7th inning. So things aren't looking good there. We'll obviously you guys will know the result of this game when that comes out. Yeah, this isn't looking good. And
they kind of had our number though for a little bit. I mean, we were crushing the Yankees for
we had a 10 game run. We had a 10 game lead over them in the division. It's currently now tied in the division 5. We're both now 5 games back. After this, there'll be a full game ahead of us. And I said this on Robert Shelley's Pesky Pole podcast show, and I'm pissed. I've said it multiple times. I think that come the deadline, every contending team made moves. You literally look at every single team, and they all made moves to get better. Obviously, the Dodgers blew everyone out of the water with what they did. But
yeah, it's really impressive to see what the Dodgers are doing.
And the Red Sox obviously got Kyle Schwarber. He's finally in the lineup now, and we'll see how he kind of looks down the stretch. But the only pitchers we got were guys like Hanzo Robles and Austin Davis, guys that I had never even heard of, and frankly, the bullpen is now falling apart as a result of it. Guys are tired. Guys aren't able to, get the rest that they need. And we're overworking guys like Garrett Whitlock, who, really looked solid for us this season, but he's coming back from Tommy John surgery. We're going to have to see how he handles that adversity when he's put in more, high leverage situations. He's been a great pickup for us this year, but when you put him in those situations, it's going to, I feel like, put some strain on his arm.
Right.
And, I'm really nervous about this team. It looks like we're in the midst of a collapse.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. And I think the one thing that kind of scares me the most is that we're falling apart at the wrong time. I mean, absolutely. I kind of have faith in the team, but like right now is kind of the sweet spot to start to pick it up and get ready and get amped up. And it seems, unfortunately, we're only, backtracking right now.
Yeah. And I mean, after the deadline, I put a lot of blame on Chaim Bloom for saying, you didn't do enough at the deadline. I looked at Henry and all the guys there for saying like, hey,
I think the biggest
why did you spend over the luxury tax
was not trying to actively pursue Rizzo instead of being like, we'll make Schwarber into something he's not.
No, he's not a first baseman. And guess what? Has Schwarber played first base for us at all yet? No. He hasn't. What have we been doing? We've been DHing Schwarber. We've been putting JD Martinez in the outfield. And just to be frank with you,
I mean, Bobby Dahlbeck has been hot recently. In his defense, he has been pretty hot recently.
He's been hot, but that's in Bobby Dahlbeck terms. I mean, what sucked so bad though is that we're putting freaking JD in the outfield or DHing Schwarber, and I get it. Schwarber's a DH. If JD has an off day, sure, you DH him, but we brought Schwarber into this team with the assumption that, this guy will be the first base solution. That'll be the offense we need there. He's played one career game at first base, and none of them have come with the Boston Red Sox. We've tried every single possible way to get Schwarber and JD in the lineup that doesn't involve putting him at first base. And I'm just like, when are we going to see it? I know he has injury issues, and I know we're going to try to work him into it, but when are we going to see Schwarber at first base?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing also with Heim Bloom is that I think he went into the trade deadline knowing that we're not going to win it all this year, even though I think we possibly could have.
We really could have. I mean, we had the best record in the AL, I think, at the trade deadline. So I'm just like, we obviously had something going for us.
Yeah, exactly. I was just more concerned with the depth than us getting deep into October. I mean, like, how long, like, would we really have? But again, that's on Heim. I mean, Heim's,
It's on.
it's not you. He's usually not the guy to actively go out and try to pursue and get all those guys. He's more of like, a money saver. Like,
No, yeah. I mean, I know that's what he was brought in to do, and I understand what his role is here.
I mean, like, heck, his first move was trading Mookie.
That was from the top down. I understand that he had to do that, but another move that I and while I do put a lot of blame on Heim Bloom for not doing more at the deadline, at this point, with the way that they're slumping, I could have understood the Red Sox, for a series just being like really down it, or even a series or two and just being like, man, we really thought we could have done something. We were hoping like, for a little more to come through the door at the deadline, being down for a little bit. And it's like, okay, I get it. Like the GM didn't do what you want. I get it. I feel bad for you guys. But at this point, you guys, it's like, okay, the guy didn't do enough for you at the deadline, pick it up. We need a little bit more out of you. Are you guys going to be this demoralized? No, like this is ridiculous. And
Right.
they need to pick it up.
They do need to pick it up. I do agree with that. And I mean, hopefully they do. Hopefully they just start to find their rhythm again. But other than that, I don't really know what else would really pick them up.
Yeah. I mean, I do have my questions about
I mean, the
that.
New England Revolution are in first place. For whatever it's worth.
I really don't want to be. I really don't want the New England Revolution to be the story of the 2021 Boston sports season. That will really put a damper on my year.
Yeah.
At least for me, I know you're at least like decently involved with soccer. I don't know anything. So if they're the number one team in the up here in New England, I think I might lose my mind.
Yeah, it's all right, but it's all right. Chelsea resigned some guys we definitely needed. So
yeah, so that's always great.
Yeah,
but so yeah, even things with the Revs are falling apart. Why am I even surprised? But that concludes what we have in MLB news. In NBA news, one of the weirder stories that I've seen. I was talking about weird stories with Tyreek Hill racing Usain Bolt. Another weird story that I saw going on happened in the NBA, and it happened with J.R. Smith, the former guy who passed out of an open layup, missed a lot of opportunities. And
when he was young, man, he was pretty good.
No, J.R. Smith, trust me, J.R. Smith is a dude, and all the respect to him. Was kind of a meme in his older years. But was one of LeBron's key guys down the stretch. I believe he won rings with both the Cavs and the Lakers, and obviously all the respect to him. But now it's coming out that J.R. Smith, he has decided to enroll to play. He's decided to roll at North Carolina A&T, and he's trying to petition the NCAA to allow him to play on the team's Division I golf team. And I didn't realize that J.R. Smith was a golfer. I mean, I know he's probably done celebrity events, but I don't know. Like this just seems like a total J.R. Smith story. The fact that he's trying to play Division I college golf, and I'm like,
I mean, it's kind of cool if you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, because definitely, like older athletes and everything else, like the one thing that kind of brings them all together, baseball, football, hockey, even, is golf. I mean, it's kind of the universal sport.
Yeah.
And no matter your age. And it's kind of a sport and shows it like a true, like, I guess, athlete.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not competing against guys like Tiger Woods who do it professionally, but it really is just like that one activity that Aaron Rodgers and Steph Curry, they don't have any, like, that's the one outlet where they can compete together and and really you can see them go against each other. Well, that's what made the match 2 really so awesome when we saw Brady and Manning go against each other.
Yeah, definitely. I just wonder, J.R. Smith went to a Division I school, right?
I believe so. Yeah. I forget where he went exactly.
Because I know there is an eligibility and there's a timer set on you as soon as you hit that D1 eligibility. So I wonder if he's like petitioning and being like, look, I only did 2 years, so I should have 2 more years to, play. Because if he didn't do Division I, then he would definitely be able to. But there's a timer set for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if he did like a one and done, like most, athletes do, then he could definitely, go back and do it. If J.R. Smith was like a Division II school, then he would have his full Division I clock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says right here that, obviously it's listing the North Carolina A&T now. It also lists St. Benedict's Prep and Trenton Catholic Academy. So those seem like some high schools and some
Yeah, I
post grad
wonder,
stuff
did
like
he
that.
get drafted right out of high school?
I think the one and done rule had to have been in place at the time, but it's possible. But with J.R. Smith, I think it's a really funny story. I think
it would be cool if it works out.
I hope
All
it
power
does
to
work
him.
out. I hope it does work out. I mean, I don't know if like this propels you into a professional golf thing, but just to be able to compete in college and have that
Even
competition
do celebrity
again.
events and stuff.
Exactly.
Play with Charles Barkley.
I mean, let's be frank. I think anyone. I mean, I'm not beating Charles Barkley. My golf shot absolutely blows, but
Yeah, and definitely not me. I literally got clubs like 2 months ago.
Yeah, no.
At this point, off the side of the road. So.
Yeah, literally, you told me about that. You want to go into that? When did you get? So, how did you get the golf clubs?
So my grandfather used to golf a lot back in the day.
Yeah,
and he had his own set of clubs, but his clubs were really old. And like as I was a kid, I would mess around with them. Just hit it, and like had no form, no idea, nothing how to do it. But when I was driving up, my car ended up breaking down on the side of the road.
mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, there was a pair of clubs on the side of the road giving for free. And as I was looking at my car, I saw the clubs and I was like, these aren't that bad condition. So it was clubs and I think a Callaway bag. And I literally just grabbed them and I tossed them into my car with me. And then I had to end up getting a tow and everything else. But no, that's how I ended up getting my first pair of golf clubs.
That's awesome. I mean, I think my dad just I think he got them from like a family friend, and like it was like this very weird way of getting them. I mean, they're solid clubs. They're I think a couple decades old at this point, but they still work very well. And I'm really glad that I have them. And I hope to get better at that. But I wish the best of luck to J.R. Smith. But the last story I have in NBA news is Marcus Smart recently agreed to a 4-year extension with the Boston Celtics, $77 million. Basically the pride and soul of the team is back, which I'm excited to see. I think that, while Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are kind of, the faces of us, you want to, if you had to pick a player to encapsulate, the raw emotion of the team, it's Marcus Smart, and I'm glad to see him back.
Yeah, no, me too, definitely, because he is the heart and soul of the Celtics.
Yeah,
I'm glad we got him for the money we got him for.
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean, there could have been teams that could have overpaid for him, but I feel like that's about what Marcus Smart is worth. Being he is also more of a sixth man in some aspects. We play him, but no, he's definitely a great player. So
yeah, I'm glad to see him back. Just obviously, he's he doesn't always fill up the stat sheet, but what he brings to the court on a nightly basis, it's worth it. And I'm really glad to see him back. Now I'll be interested to see how he kind of fits into the rotation with a guy like Dennis Schroeder, who we also just brought in. I don't know exactly how they're going to work as a pairing, but
well, Dennis Schroeder is more of a scorer.
Yeah.
Well, Marcus Smart is more, defensive minded.
Yeah.
So I feel like Schroeder, will end up starting, but I feel like, Marcus is going to come off the bench and really just be that second team guy.
That's what I'm hoping, and I'm hoping that he can be a leader like that, and lead guys like Peyton Pritchard, who I actually just put out a clip on, had 92 points in a program game. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, he's hot.
No, he's insanely hot. Obviously,
Ojale too. Ojale was really hot as well.
Yeah,
and Naismith also had a great summer league.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the Celtics did lose the summer league championship to the Kings last night. You were talking to me about that. Pritchard didn't look too good there, but 92 points in a game.
Pritchard was really good in the first half. But
Yeah.
The second half, defensively, he was getting locked up.
Yeah, but I'm glad you brought up the 92 points. That has to be like
regardless of what league you're in,
that has to be exhausting.
Is ridiculous.
That has to be exhausting to do. I mean, you're dominating a game. I don't even care if you're playing fourth graders.
Yeah.
To score 92 points in 60, what is it, like 60 or 48? It's 48 minutes. My bad. I was thinking of football. But to score that many points in 48 minutes, it's absurd. That's got like the amount of energy that has to take out of you. Like I'm a
dog, man.
No, and like you I feel like you have to be grinding like literally every single second. Like you can't be sitting out a play and scoring 92 points. He literally had to have played all 48, in my opinion. I didn't look at the stat sheet, but 92 points. That's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, I really want to look up that stat sheet now that you mention it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really ridiculous. I mean, I don't know. I put out a clip on him today of me, Carter Adams, and Ethan Savoy. We were talking about him when he first broke in the league, when he was averaging 8 points a game. We were saying at the time. I mean, I had brought up at the time, hey, maybe we should ship Kemba out of here, get a big man in. We ended up bringing Al Horford back when we did that. And, while he isn't the big man I'm necessarily looking for, that I do agree. I do agree with something. Do you have something there?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look it up right now.
Okay.
You can keep going.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be interested to see what the Celtics do this season with Al Horford. Unfortunately, I wish we had gotten a more traditional center. That has been my one, want for the Celtics to do. And they really haven't done it in a long time. I've said on the show, I don't think the Celtics have had a traditional big man since Kendrick Perkins.
Yeah.
And, while I'm not saying Perk is like, the definition of a great center. I mean, he was a good center for us. But I know he's no like Wilt Chamberlain or anything like that. But even when KG was here, he was a power forward. When other guys were here, like they were power forwards. Horford is a power forward, with the way he plays. But we put him at the 5 because we need him there. Yeah. And, with his age, I think he'll be fine. Like I have faith in him because, he's also, a shooter type and can do certain things like that. But, all in all, with the Celtics team, I'm kind of nervous about him, but I do have some optimism, with the moves that we've made.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I mean, hey, like, I think we're going to be all right.
I agree
people
too.
I think Tatum's made some great strides. It's really good to see him win too.
Yeah,
I feel like that kind of is a mentality that he has to bring.
Yeah, I hope that the Olympics were a good experience for him. But do you have anything there? And
yeah, I do. So Peyton Pritchard averaged in the summer league 20 what was it? It was 20.3 points per game, and he was shooting 57 from behind, 58% of his 3-point attempts while shooting 51% overall.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know. And it was crazy because I mean, he was always doing well. Like he was shooting 44% in his rookie campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But the crazy thing is that they barely won that game.
Jesus.
It was 165 to 163.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense was basically non-existent in the pro-am games, as they were saying. But this guy they were playing, Mack Jones, dropped 63 points as well.
I mean,
these pro-am just pulling up and hitting threes.
What you see in these pro-am games is crazy. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. But that concludes what we have in NBA news. The final thing I want to get into, I know we don't talk about NHL on the show enough, and this is kind of an older story, but I did feel that I needed to cover this because, I just feel like it's a big enough story. I don't know if you had heard about this, but Evander Kane, player for the San Jose Sharks, was recently, a couple weeks ago, accused by his own wife of betting on his own sports games. Now, I didn't know too much about Evander Kane, but apparently he has like some gambling issues. He's been in a ton of debt, and is known to kind of go bankrupt and do that sort of thing. And now he's being alleged of betting on his own games, which is the cardinal sin of all sports. It's basically what has Pete Rose kind of out of the Hall of Fame to this day. It's what has Shoeless Joe Jackson kind of banned for life. Well, not kind of. It has him banned for life from baseball. And while I have my defenses of Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe, this is crazy. I mean, to see this in the modern era is
the crazy thing is that like she has like receipts and like she has like a bunch of information, like text stuff and all that, which is crazy to me.
And when I saw the report, and when I saw the report that it was, his wife reported I was like, I feel like this report should say ex-wife, because after this, I feel like this isn't.
Yeah, unless she was just trying to help, and he has a serious addiction, which I mean, said he does, but I feel terrible because he is a really good player.
Yeah, no, he's a great player. And I mean, I'm, it's a crazy situation to see. I hope that everything, he hasn't been found guilty of anything at this point. If he is, then obviously we'll cover that situation from there. But, was something that I wanted to highlight on, really quickly, because I thought it was, really important. I wanted to get it across.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's kind of crazy because, it is the cardinal sin of all sports. I mean, you bet on your own games. That's pretty significant. Pete Rose, it's
Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe, Tim Donnie.
The list goes on, honestly, which is kind of crazy. And the White Sox even then.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 8 men out. It's like I mean, the fact that we talk about like the 1919 White Sox, and it's a common enough, it's a fairly common enough thing across sports to this day. It's crazy. It just goes to show how wrong it is. Like, it's been a century since that happened, but it's so universally recognized as wrong that everybody is just viscerally against it.
yeah, no, it's very, very incredible. But I mean, I hope they really figure it out, because you can't really go a lot of places from there.
Yeah, no, I hope they figure it out too.
I feel terrible for San Jose too, because that would just, well, that's one of their franchise players.
Yeah, it's got to be a terrible blow for them. I hope that, I hope the best happens. I hope that, this is a misunderstanding, and I hope maybe there is a good answer to this. But I know that, it was that's kind of a long shot in sports, but I'm an optimist. I hope for the best with everything. But at this point, I think it's fair to say that we are now down to the wire, which means that, we're going to do a little wrap up of what we talk about in this show, and we'll send you guys on your way. Obviously, welcome to John into the show. John, really glad to have you on, man. It was an awesome time.
Thank you, man.
And, on the show with John, we talked about, we broke down Mack Jones' preseason debut, as well as Cam Newton's cryptic social media post. We talked about Aaron Rodgers, Randall Cobb, and David Bakhtiari posting on social media that they want Clay Matthews back, as well as Tyreek Hill, pledging to race Usain Bolt in a 40-yard dash. We discussed Tim Tebow being cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars, as well as Chris Sale's return to the Boston Red Sox. In NBA news, we talked about J.R. Smith enrolling in college and petitioning the NCAA to allow him to play Division I golf, as well as Marcus Smart signing a 4-year, $77 million contract extension with the Boston Celtics. And finally, we ended things in the NHL, talking about Evander Kane being accused of betting on his own hockey games by his own wife. Crazy developments there. Obviously, across the sports world, crazy things that go on, there. Can't wait to cover the latest with those stories as they unfold. But I think it's fair to say that, it's insane.
I know it is insane, but the good thing is, to end on a good note, the first college football game, I believe, is next week.
There we go. College football obviously is another great thing. I'll be glad to see too. NFL and college, love to see it. I mean, I know I'll be going back to school relatively soon. I'll be back in the Koffler Center doing shows from there at 7:00, Wednesdays and Fridays, which will be great to see. Can't wait to get back in the studio there. But, that kind of concludes what we have on the show tonight. If you're not following Down to the Wire at this point, what the hell are you guys doing? We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, but the main hub you can reach us through is our Instagram. You can follow that at down.to-the-wire. Again, at down.to-the-wire. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching today. And from Down to the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
And I'm John Warren.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.